Hey Anime EXPO Lite, Alex here from the Hidden Japan, and let me be the first to welcome you to Murayama.city, Yamagata Prefecture. Murayama City is nestled deep in the mountainous region of Tohoku here in northern Japan, and despite the beautiful, calm, and tranquil atmosphere that you see today, actually, during the Edo period, it was a bustling castle town with a rich samurai culture. While the samurai came to a close at the end of the Edo period about 150 years ago, today, the spirit of the samurai is still alive here in Murayama City in the form of Iaido. So what is Iaido? Iaido is a traditional Japanese sword martial art, very similar to Kendo, and it focuses on honing the spiritual connection between the mind, the body, and the blade. And the key philosophy behind Iaido is that it is the way of the sword without fighting. And that is to say the goal of Iaido is to take down your opponent with as little contact violence as you can, and if possible, doing so in one swift movement of the blade. So, some of the masters here in Murayama City have agreed to actually let me try Iaido and figure out some of the techniques and what it's really about. So I'm about to go get changed and then I'll try it for myself. So today I'm joined by three of the masters of Iaido here in Murayama City. And before I start, I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and tell them just a little bit more about Iaido. So,よろしくお願いします。
はい、よろしくお願いします。伊藤誠一です。年齢は70歳です。出身地は隣の市の小原沢になっています。
斉藤隆です。68歳です。出身地は村山市になります。
名前は阿部義弘です。年齢は43歳。出身地は山形県山形市になります。
ですね、私始めたのは40過ぎなんで、25、6年ぐらいかな。
イエイドを始めてからはおそらく35、6年はなっていると思います。
今年で23年になります。子供の頃に見た兜割りという鎧兜のヘルメットですね、それを着るという新聞記事を見て自分もやってみたいというふうに思ったのがきっかけです。
始めたきっかけは最初剣道をやったんですけども、剣道だとある程度相手必要な練習が必要なんで、それよりも一人でできるなんかないかな、運動ないかなっていうような感じでイヤイドの道に入ったということになっています。
うちの子供がここで習ってまして、それの見送りしててやってみたらということで始めました。
イヤイドというのは他の武道と違って相手を必要としません。他のスポーツや武道だと必ず相手が必要なんですが、イヤイドは自分一人でやります。なので自分自身を極めていくというので僕はこれをやっています。
これたのではないかなというのが自分で納得しているところでございます。
自己鍛錬かなというふうに思ってやってます。精神的なものを鍛えていくということでですね、自分のためにやっていこうということで続けています。
So they were explaining a little bit about the parts of the blade to me, and of course you have the sheath here, to protect yourself from getting cut or for cutting others. and you have the hilt here, which is to protect your hands. More than that, here's the grip. It's very intricately woven. The part that was really interesting here was this little metal piece at the end. They're saying that sometimes, a lot of the time, Iaido is you want to get through the situation with as little violence or as quickly as you can. And so sometimes the reason there's this hard metal part is because if you come into an opponent at a close quarters, you can just kind of jab him in the face. And that's also a quick alternative to either getting away or getting the first attack.
この刀の名は備前長船長光という名になっています。E録ですので約600年は経っていると思います。
それでは帯に実際刀を刺してみたいと思います。帯という布のベルトと袴というこの布のスラックスが2種類あるので、この帯、布のベルトの部分に刀を刺します。
So it actually fits really well. It kind of aligns exactly with the creases in your hips.
この部分がおへその前に来るようにこのような位置にします。そしてこの下げをストラップをこの袴という侍のスラックスにこのように通します。
And there you have it. Let's start learning. So before we begin today, actually the masters want to show me kata. What the kata is, it's essentially, in English we call it a form, and it's a string of connected moves and techniques. And the goal of learning kata is you do it the same way every single time. And so that way, you start to think of the moves as not separate skills or separate techniques, but as a stream. And this way the sword can feel more of a comfortable connection or an extension of your body. And the goal by doing this kata every single day, or every single time you practice, is that every time you do it, you're inching closer and closer to perfection. So as we see the grandmasters practicing some kata right here in a bit, just know that they are practicing these every single day. It's the same thing every single time. So I'm excited to take a watch. So that was really cool. I'm sure you guys can see just there's all this refinement and precision in all of their techniques, and that just comes from years and years and years of practicing the same thing, essentially to perfection. And so I'm gonna attempt to learn a very basic kata right now. It's gonna be nothing near as phenomenal as that was, but let's give it a try.
ここからスパモーターを合わせます。
That was a lot harder than it looks. There's a lot of technique and skill, and it's just muscles that you don't really use that often. So I see why you have to practice so much every single day and do the same thing over and over. So moving forward, we're actually going to be doing something really interesting here, which is we're going to be cutting through a tatami mat, which I've said is to either have the same dexterity as either the small one, a human arm, or the large one, which is a human torso. So Abe-san first is going to demonstrate for us. And so there's actually, even in the Iaido world, there's very few people who can do this. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of strength, and well, one day I hope I can live up to this. God, okay, that is a lot heavier than I expected. He just made absolute butter of this. That just, wow, okay, no, let me just try to put it back on real quick. Oh, it actually stays, which just goes to emphasize the exactness and precision of this angle. This is not easy. And I'm going to try to mimic probably not even a fifth of this. So we'll see how that goes. So last time my attempt was a bit unsuccessful. And so Abe-san was watching very closely and he saw that I was holding my breath, which really restricts the amount of oxygen that my muscles can take in and really restricts my movement, makes it very hard. And so this time he recommended that as I slice, I let down a sharp breath. It can either be a yell or like a, and so I'm going to do, maybe I think I'm going to try giving a bit of a shout to see if that helps. So for the next one, Abe-san's going to be performing a really, really high level, which is a double cut. And so I'm going to let him talk about it, but it's really cool. Abe-san?
はい、これからお見せする技は、下から切って残りの上の部分を切る技になります。滝登りという技です。日本の信仰では濃いカープが滝を登っていって竜になるという考え方があります。大変縁起がいいんですね。結婚式とかでこういうパフォーマンスをしたりします。画面を映像見られている皆様の健康と成功を祈りまして滝登りをやらさせていただきます。よろしくお願いします。
So I think it's going to take a few more years of training before I can get anywhere near Abe-san's level. But today this was a really great experience, and if you're interested in things like samurai or Japanese culture or history, Murayama is a really good way to experience something that's kind of off the beaten path and learn something new. And so from here I think I'm going to go get changed. They're going to let me keep this, or they let everyone who successfully keeps it as a souvenir. And then I'm going to have a special lunch fit just for a samurai. So earlier I said that I was going to be having a lunch fit for a samurai. And while that may have sounded like a joke, it's actually what Murayama is famous for, samurai soba. Back in the day, when Murayama was still a castle town, being a samurai wasn't a particularly lucrative position. And so a lot of samurai had very little pocket money, which means going out to eat was something that they couldn't really do. But soba is basically, there's two ingredients, water and buckwheat flour. So that makes soba super, super cheap. And so in the dead of winter, and believe me, it gets really cold here in the winter, samurai would be able to go out and use what little money they have to buy and purchase delicious warm soba that just warms up your entire body. And so it was a simple luxury, and it was really enjoyed by the samurai back in the day. So one of the things that I really love about these super local, kind of hidden gem restaurants is the people who work there and the people who run them. And so today I'm joined by the Okami-san, the manager of this restaurant, and she speaks good English too. And so I think she wants to introduce the shop a little bit.
Thank you very much for visiting this remote mountain village and especially our traditional soba restaurant. This shop was founded in 1920 and our specialty is handmade bushido noodles and herring, and the noodles consist of 100% buckwheat. Please enjoy this natural and healthy meal.
Thank you very much, and I will, and I have been. It's delicious. So after a long day of swinging swords and practicing Iaido, I was pretty hungry, pretty tired, but this delicious lunch here at Araki Soba really filled me up, and I'm full of energy and, I'm just happy. And so that's one of the things that I love also too about these like rural hidden villages in Japan, is that everything has a story. The swords have stories, the soba has a story, and people are just really happy to share it with you. And so as Japan starts opening up in the next year, and you start considering your plans, I highly encourage you to visit cities like this, like Murayama, that are kind of off the beaten track, but are still a hidden gem. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of Anime EXPO Lite, and hope to see you guys here soon sometime. Bye!